ZZD has announced its latest story patch that refreshes an existing character, introduces multiple new ones, and unlocks something within me that I didn't know was there. Seriously, what the heck, Pulchra? Zenless Zone Zero has been consistently delivering as of late, whether it be with its character designs or improvements to its in-game modes. But I won't bury the lead here on this, and I'll say that there's not a ton of overhauls to existing game modes, but some logical expansions. To me, the really exciting parts are the expansions of the story and the world, and on that, I think it delivered. We get a preview cinematic for the story that brings back some characters we know, and finally introduces some characters that were previously teased. The main focus of this patch is definitely around Silver Soldier Anby and Trigger. We're finally going to unlock the mystery of Anby's past and her connections with Soldier 11 as captain and member of the Silver Squad. I do love that despite the focus of the new characters, they're still trying to keep the old ones like Soldier 11 still relevant, and they're not just leaving them in the dust. To explore this mystery further, there's going to be a character quest being added for Anby called Echoes of Silver. In addition to that, we are introduced to Trigger, who is also part of this mystery, but will have her own story quest being added. It seems we've already met Trigger in the past, but we will understand this more in her quest there. Both of the events has me excited to learn more about the universe and explore the character's past, but that's not all for the story. We're also getting a Season 1 epilogue story that is going to dive deeper into the sacrifice previously alluded to in the main story. It seems that there is a key item being introduced at an auction that we are invited to by someone called the Collector. This is going to entangle us with the faction Mockingbird, which has previously introduced characters Vivian and Hugo in the previous Bang Boo event. They are also bringing back Victoria Housekeeping in this chaos and revealing their main benefactor, the mayor of New Eridu. Hugo seems to have a past with Lycon, which again, I love that they continue to use the characters previously introduced in the story and to keep expanding from it, like Soldier 11 in Anby's story. Also, this splash art here, this cool splash art for the story, this is so freaking good. Overall, I love Zenless Zone Zero's story, so I'm excited to see where both of these elements are added into. For the banners, we're going to get the previously mentioned characters. Anby is an electric attacker being added into the game, and her animations and design look amazing. Definitely a character I'm interested in pulling. My initial thoughts around power creep for the characters, I don't think she will directly power creep Yanagi, seeing as she is an attacker and not an anomaly unit. But I can see that if you're somebody looking for an electric DPS, they're gonna kind of fit into that same role. But with game modes like Deadly Assault requiring multiple teams, I'm not too concerned about it at this stage, as again, she's more of a typical attacker and not an anomaly style unit. An interesting decision in the game is you're not going to have to rebuild your trust with Anby now that she's reintroduced as Silver Soldier, as it is the same character, just a different outfit. Pulchra is an A-rank physical stunner that's being added into the game as part of the Sons of Caledon faction, and being a physical stunner, honestly, that's pretty great with me. Stunners are in short supply in this game, so another stun unit being added is a nice addition. Again, I'm not a furry, but Pulchra, I don't know, she does something. Anyway, Trigger is also being introduced as another electric stun unit, and this one, I'm gonna be honest, has me a little more confused. I have no idea why she is this archetype as an electric stunner when we have Qingyi as another limited electric stunner, and she just literally had a rerun in the previous patch. So I'm not gonna lie, on the surface, this is probably gonna feel bad for those who pulled her for the first time. I don't know if there's something I'm missing here that makes their overall kits really distinct and like each has their own place. It just really seems like an absolute power creep outright. Trigger has the ability to stun as an electric stunner, and then also on top of her ultimate has the ability to do off-field coordinated attack damage, which just means that her utility is going to be even that much more valuable than Qingyi and way more beneficial for game modes like Deadly Assault, where time is of the essence. All I'm saying is I don't really see any kind of difference between the two characters, and it just seems like a one-to-one power creep, so it doesn't make Qingyi bad, but not great. Trigger's animations look really cool though, and they seem to bring something new in terms of combat to the table, even if she looks a bit like a character out of Nikke. That's not a bad thing, by the way. I like Nikke, but like, you know, it kind of does. Side note, with the introduction of the squad members, I'm probably going to be picking Soldier 11 from my standard selector. I've been playing since the beginning of this game, and so I'm finally nearing that 300 pity, and so I'm only missing Soldier 11 and Neko Mata, so I'm probably going to pick her just for lore reasons, not for utility reasons. I already have Evelyn. This is also not advice, by the way. I just like playing lore-accurate teams from time to time, so that's probably why I'm going to do it. The banner order is going to be SS Anby first, with Pulchra on the raid up as well. Along with that, there's going to be the rerun for the character Bernice. Second half is going to be Trigger and a rerun for Juyuan. We're also getting another free 10 pull for characters and Bang Boos. By the way, here's a new code. It's Soldier Zero Anby. Everybody loves 300 polychromes. Other event updates include Hollow Zero getting an update with a new boss fight with an ethereal called Geppetto. The boss honestly looks really cool. I love the puppeteer vibes, and along with it, there's going to be difficulty 6 being introduced along with it, so you can start to really push your account. Maybe Miyabi will finally run into some issues. I think the really interesting component here, though, is the new unique gear that's being added for the game for Astra Yao, Jane Doe, and Corrin. The effects look really cool with Astra Yao almost doing a Lux-like blast with her attack, and Corrin switches her ability from a spin to win to absolutely dashing around like Sonic. Along with this, new stages are being added into Hollow Zero just to kind of change up your runs. To make it easier to try out the gear, they are adding some event stages for each of the characters so you can experiment with the gear before needing to actually do a new run into Hollow Zero. Along with those new runs, by the way, they're adding new event stages within it to kind of change up your experience. Another new temp event that's being added for Trigger is a shooting minigame that is interesting, but honestly looks kind of gimmicky. Outside of that, though, there is a new isometric style combat event that's being added where we're going to be getting a combat Bang Boo that we're going to be able to upgrade and change within our different runs. And this one actually has my interest and looks like there might be something fun here. The best part, though, is there is a reward for a free Pulchra, so if you plan on skipping Anby and you don't want to risk pulling her, you can get a free copy of Pulchra there. But again, I don't know why you would skip Anby. Little Night's Big Charge seems like another kind of filler event that's being added in where there's no major challenge here, but just serves as like kind of a daily activity to keep you logging in. But there's also Virtual World Battlestorm that's being added, which is another daily combat event, so again, just more gameplay for you to get into, and we always love free polychromes. There's also an additional Pulchra mini event that just seems like cashing in on rewards, so doesn't seem like anything major there. One of the other major gameplay changes, however, is the new drive discs Shadow of Harmony and Phaethon's Melody being added. Shadow Harmony seems to be based around aftershocks and dash attacks, and Phaethon's Melody seems to be based around anomaly mastery. So great, more farming for my anomaly characters. On top of that, there's a new boss Lumberjack that's being added for more Ascension materials, but we don't really see any gameplay from him. Other little notes include double drops and the normal resets for Deadly Assault and Shiyu, of course, but they're adding in a new feature for those boss farming stages. Double drops are going to be occasionally activated just on a regular cadence for those boss farming stages to make it a little easier for building your characters. This is going to require the same amount of battery though, so you'll just be spending double the energy for double the rewards. There's a few UI optimizations coming in as well with the W engine leveling process and special training plans. And they tease some animations for both Anby, Pulchra, and Trigger. So with all of those things in mind, how do I feel about this latest patch? Overall, I think this looks like a solid patch with some cool looking new characters and story events. I enjoy ZZZ for the combat, but more so the main story in the game, so that usually takes the cake for me, and I think it delivered. To be honest though, I think by highlighting that this is an epilogue gives me the implication that the next patch is going to be a new arc, and this will serve as more of a precursor for it. So it makes me even more interested in 1.7, or maybe they're going to jump straight to 2.0, but it definitely has my attention. To be honest, the other events look fine, as the isometric combat event does look interesting with the customizable Bang Boo, but again, the other events just kind of either seem like a gimmick or filler to keep you logging in. The only odd thing out here is that Pulchra seems just kind of like, I don't know, an afterthought on this patch, where they're like, well, we gotta get her in the game at some point, so I guess we'll just throw her into this banner. It doesn't seem like she has any relevance to the patch and what's been happening, so it's just like, okay, I guess. Doesn't take away from her design, by the way. I think she still looks great, but just still seems like an odd addition. My only overall hope is that Anby does not replace Yanagi, but serves as a different role, as like more of like a standard DPS and not an anomaly DPS, so each can keep their place in the game. But I'm less optimistic for Qingyi and Trigger. It seems like Trigger will be a direct power creep of Qingyi with the added benefits of off-field coordinated damage, so that seems like pretty cut and dry power creep, and that will probably feel bad for anybody who just pulled Qingyi, which by the way was almost me. That doesn't mean that Qingyi is going to decrease in power. I'm sure she can probably still be slotted into some team comps and still be a solid stunner, but again, it just kind of feels bad. Like I said though, outside of that, this is a gacha game. Power creep is normal. Looks like a pretty solid patch overall, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you excited for this patch? Do you like the look of the new characters or interested in the new story? I would love to hear it. But that's gonna be it for this one, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.